Hey guys, it's Phil coming in with another video. I hope everyone is doing well, and since my last video, 15 people have passed their exam, and they are as follows: Gabriella W, Cher J, Kaylin M, Rochelle C, Nay K, Bianca S, Paula T, Anika W, Taylor P, H Levine, Melissa F, Karen R, Dorothy R, Amanda I, and Sheila P. So, congrats to those people. And it is amazing when people let me know. And if you want me to shout your name out and want to let me know that you passed your exam since rocking with me, my email is berda24@gmail.com. And if you want to get a hold of me and join a study group, the next ones are as follows: 3-1, Freudian theory; 3-8, acronym and practice questions. And that one typically fills up. So if you're interested in that, I would sign up as fast as you possibly can. 315, DSM-5 in adults; 322, DSM-5 in children; 329, research, program evaluation, and program development; 45, human developmental theories; and 412, community interventions. And if you're interested in those, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com. And just kind of a reminder of what the study groups are. I go over the topic that is identified within the study group, and then I go over practice questions related to that, and you get sent a recording of the session as well as the questions and the study document. And kind of related to the topic that I wanted to get in today, I do still offer individual tutoring, and my schedule is booked out a week to a week and a half and up to 2 weeks in advance. And if you're interested in that, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com. And if you can see by the title, the topic that I want to get in today that a lot of people ask me and I want to make a public video about is, do you actually need tutoring to pass this exam, or do you need tutoring in your specific situation? And to that, I'm going to post 5 different considerations to reflect on whether you need it or not. So the first one is, do you find yourself questioning yourself? And if you find yourself questioning yourself, can you redirect yourself on your own? Because at the end of the day, I like tutoring people and like helping people, but not every single person needs that assistance at that given time. So if you can redirect yourself and identify what's causing you to make yourself question yourself and question your abilities and what's the underlying issue underneath of that, and you can identify strategies and positive things that can redirect yourself and cause yourself to gain some self-confidence in your situation, then you may not need a tutor. So if you're like, yes, I can redirect, I question myself, but I can redirect myself, I've identified the issue, and I don't need that additional intervention, then you do not need a tutor. And that may sound weird coming from somebody that tutors people and offers assistance, but at the end of the day, I'm a very minimal type person, and if you do not need the assistance, I'll be transparent and open with you and say like, hey, maybe that's not the first line of defense, but oftentimes people in this scene will try to get you to tutor with them, even though you may not entirely need that. But if you cannot redirect yourself after you find yourself questioning yourself, I would, again, not automatically jump to a tutor. I would reach out to the supports in the current system. Maybe you can start studying with somebody that's not a tutor, that is not going to charge you, as well as identify and reach out to people that can provide insight on the area that you're not feeling as confident in, or maybe they'd be able to identify the themes within your situation that may be causing you to question yourself. So at the end of the day, I would not reach out to a tutor immediately. I would identify what is causing yourself to question yourself, because as humans, we're not going to be good at everything, and we're going to walk into this exam or walk into this goal that we have for ourselves and start questioning everything about what we've been doing based on the fact that it did not work out for us. But if you've never taken the exam or don't even know what the result that you want to see, then if it's your first time, you have to provide yourself that grace. And I always tell people, if they're going to take their exam after failing, or if it's your first time, view it as an experience for you to be able to walk in and identify what you can do within your situation. So if this is your second time and you failed the exam prior times, you have to forgive yourself. You have to understand that this is a new experience and you haven't seen this version of the exam yet. So you have to be excited as if it is your first time, and give yourself the grace that you would if it was your first time within this situation. So if you're still struggling after identifying the cause and not being able to redirect yourself, of course, reach out to a tutor. But that's going to lead me into my next point. What is your learning style? Because if the person you're working with is not occupying the same learning style, or they're convincing you that you need to change who you are based on what their style is, bad moves, bad vibes. Because the person that's helping you should make you feel more confident, more excited, and have more clarity about the situation. Because it's way too often that I'll have people that start interacting and working with me, and they're like, well, this other person had this different style, it didn't quite work for me, your style is working a little bit better for me. And I'm like, good, forget that other style. Or if someone works with me and they're like, dude, your style kind of doesn't really relate to me, and I'll be honest and say, okay, well, let's try to identify something that could be helpful for you, or this other style could be more beneficial to you. Because at the end of the day, if you're working with somebody and they're not making you feel confident and they're not making you feel excited about this process, you probably need to cut them out. And I've interacted with 2 people. One person was like, Phil, I think I'm going to reschedule my exam. I don't feel excited. I don't feel ready. I just am so worried about failing. And I sat down with him and was like, okay, let's find the root. Let's find what's in your way. And we identified all the positive things that they changed about their process. And they were able to walk into the exam. They were not 100% confident in their abilities to do it, but actually end up passing the exam. Another person, they were like, Phil, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. I was working with this other person, then they were tutoring me, and they told me that I needed to reschedule my exam, and I was super duper worried about it. And I was like, okay, let's see what you're doing, what's your process, what you're comfortable with, and what you could possibly do. And then we had one session, they felt more comfortable and was like, dude, do you think I should reschedule? And I was like, no, that person was likely just trying to get more sessions and money out of you. So you need to sit down with yourself and tell yourself that you've done all of these positive things and made these positive changes in your life. So if you feel comfortable with it, go for it. Shoot for the moon and get the job done. So again, that second point is to make sure that your learning style and the style that the person's utilizing mesh together. Because if you're an auditory learner and that person's trying to auditorily tell you things, or visually and auditorily trying to tell you things, it's not going to work for you. That person needs to be able to identify and assist you in that tactile mode that you're used to. Making the note cards or viewing the information in a way that makes sense to you. So if somebody's telling you that you need to reschedule, or you're not as far along in the journey as you feel. So if you feel that you were further along, the person that you're working with is telling you need to do more and you're missing out on all of these things and it's making you more stressed, cut them out. Delete them out of your stinking situation. Why? Because you need to be confident, you need to be excited, and you need to be able to look at yourself and say, I'm doing the absolute best thing that I possibly can be at this given moment. And if this person's pushing me harder than I want to be pushing myself, then I need to get them out of my situation, because they're not gunning with me, they're gunning at me and trying to get something out of my situation and not trying to benefit me in any way, shape, or form. The third consideration that I would have to understand if you needed tutors, what is your process of breaking down the questions? And that is a very, very underutilized question and underutilized piece of insight, because sometimes people do not even have an approach. So if you do not have a way of processing and developing a way of looking at the questions, you need to develop one. You need to create a situation and system that works for you, that when you look at a question, what are you looking for? What are you picking out? And what are you doing when you're answering the questions? So I've been interacting with people more recently. Someone told me that I need to answer the question prior to even finishing the question. And I said, bad moves, bad vibes on that, because if you're trying to already tell the question what you're supposed to be seeing in the question, you're going to try dictating the answer, and if you do not see that answer on the page, it's going to cause you're going to be out of your mind. You're going to be super worried and be like, oh my God, I was totally wrong, or I can't even handle this exam. I knew I should have rescheduled. I knew I should have got out of the situation. And that's not the truth, because the answer is on the page. So you have to utilize the question to get to the answer, and utilize the answer to get back to your question to compare that out. So if you have not been able to identify and develop a system or a process for breaking down the questions, do that prior to reaching out to somebody, because it's better to have a base and understanding of what you're doing. So when you're working with that person, they're critiquing you. And if that person's not critiquing your style, not giving you feedback, not giving you tips on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, then it's not the person you need to be working with. But again, if you're able to develop that system on your own and that process on your own, you do not need a tutor to help you along in your process. On the other hand, if you cannot develop one and you've already reached out to people and tried picking their brain of what would be helpful in your situation based on your skill set, not based on their experience, but based on the things that you contribute into the situation, based on your learning style, on your strengths, on what you've been doing and what you can get out of the situation, then reach out to somebody that would be able to reflect on your situation, give you practical advice, not just generic plug and play templates type stuff, but they're listening, they're sitting with you, and they're working with what you need to be doing. And that can be done through question analysis. That can be done by actually listening to your situation and not templating again, because way too often when people reach out to me for tutoring and we start working together, people are like, well, this person told me that I always need to do this or I always need to do that. And that's not always the truth, because this exam is not black and white. And if someone's not willing to sit down with you and say, this exam involves you applying the information, and you need to actually look and say, these questions cannot be compared in any way, shape, or form, based on the fact that it is 170 individual different clients. And you would not compare clients in your actual practice, so do not do it on this exam. And that is where it gets frustrating when people are like, well, somebody told me that I cannot compare my experience or what I've done in the field, and this exam is not related to the field at all. And that's not the truth either, because if you're ethically practicing, and it's not thinking about the end result, it's breaking the exam into pieces, and the question is a snapshot, not the end result. So as social workers, we become conditioned, as well as are in a hurry to get the end result. So when you're taking the exam, you have to break it down and understand what's happening in that situation and what do I need to do to react to that. So if you're not having a process of breaking down the questions, you may need to reach out to somebody and get that assistance in developing that process. But I would urge you, prior to reaching out to somebody for assistance, to do it on your own, because you know yourself best. And if that person's not listening to you based on your experience, then that's also another problem. And then the fourth consideration that I would have you reflect on is, do you feel lost in the process? I often hear, I feel lost, Phil. I'm not sure. Other people have been telling me all of these different things outside of me. I'm not sure what's going to work with you. So if you feel lost in this situation, reflect on why you feel lost and what's causing you to do this. Because again, there's always going to be some thing that's causing you to question yourself or cause you to feel lost within the situation. Maybe it's you have too much information. Maybe it's you don't have enough information. Maybe it's people have told you things that aren't going to actually work with you. And that's where you have to sit down and say, what's causing me to feel lost? What can I do to rectify the situation? And do not settle with all the things that people are giving you, because people are going to want to help you and give you a ton of good things and all of these amazing things that they feel could be helpful for you, but it may not be what is best for you. So not every question is created equally, so it may not be a quality of question, or not all the materials that you're receiving or hear that worked for other people are going to work for you. And when they don't work for you, it makes you feel in panic mode. You're like, what do I do, man? I've been trying to do all of these things that other people feel could be helpful for me, and it's not working. So that's, again, where you have to sit down, say, what's causing me to feel lost? What can I do to feel discovered? And what can I do in this situation to help me? And in that situation, do not be afraid to invest in yourself. A lot of times people will rock with other people based on the fact that it's convenient, it fits their price range, and they're doing all of these things. And I'm not saying that money's not a real thing, but way too many times people are not willing to invest in themselves, so they're robbing themselves of their future. Then if they invested themselves right now, they would have some compound interest based on the payout that they're about to get when they pass their exam. So do not be afraid of investing in yourself. But again, do not think that everything that is helpful for other people is going to be helpful for you. So you have to know yourself. You have to discover what could be helpful with and for your situation, because way too many times we've lost a sense of trust for ourselves. We're going to other people to help us, and that person may not actually know who you are or what you need or what you've done before or know all of these other programs, or they're using other programs' questions and they're not creating their own, and they're just canarying rationales out to you, and you do not know what the heck they're actually doing, or they're not helping you make sense of what the question is saying. They're just reading off the rationale based on another program and not using their own questions, because if someone's not creating their own questions, they're not going to be able to help you better understand it, because they don't understand it themselves and they're not able to rectify and create things that are pushing you. It's just, they're making you feel good, they're making you feel excited, and they're not pushing and molding you. So when you walk in the exam, it's like, oh my God, I just got knocked out based on the questions being more complex than I've actually practiced with. Again, do not be afraid of investing in your current situation to compound that interest to get a beneficial payout, because do not rob your future based on the fact that you're not willing to invest the time and the moment into yourself, because you are the best investment in your entire life. Because you, at the end of the day, are so powerful and so gifted, but if you do not sharpen and polish and make yourself the best possible version of yourself, you're robbing yourself and the other people around you that could be benefiting from your improved product of who you are. And the last point that I'll say is, what was your score on the exam? And that's not the end all be all, but I have an unpublished theory, and I always joke that I have an unpublished theory, that people that fail by 10 or less blame themselves, and people that fail by 10 or more blame the exam and say, this is stupid, I can't believe we're doing this, I just don't understand. But it legitimizes our profession when we take this exam and pass the exam, because it's not letting anyone off the streets do this profession and job. And I'm not saying that the exam is the end all be all, but it does add some legitimacy. So what am I saying to look at your score for then? Because if you look at your result and it's making you unmotivated, it's pushing you away, making you question yourself, sit down with yourself and say, if you were to work with somebody in these topic areas or on the processes of breaking down the questions, would you feel more helped? And if not, and it's going to make you feel more anxious, or if you're seeing somebody frequently and it's actually revving you up and making you question yourself, reduce it down. Because at the end of the day, seeking a tutor is just like seeking supervision when you're in a crisis or when you are uncertain about something, because it's seeking somebody's guidance outside of themselves. And don't just go with somebody based on the conveniency factor again, because if someone does not have a track record of helping people, do they actually have the ability to help somebody? And that doesn't mean that people can't start out and build themselves up, but if somebody does not have a track record of consistently helping somebody and having results based on this, you wouldn't want to work with them based on the fact that it's a new process for them. So if you are working with somebody and they think you should reschedule, cut them out, and also work with somebody based around your score, because your score is going to help indicate and understand, was your process helpful? And that's the biggest thing that I always tell people is reflect on your process. Don't entirely reflect on how you feel when you're doing all of this stuff, but is your ability to be able to navigate, break down the questions, and stay within the exam for the 4 hours beneficial? And if you're not reaching those things, there may be something outside of you, or maybe you're missing things. Again, it's a snapshot thing rather than the end result. So if you're able to slow yourself down, reflect on the situations, and understand what that score could be an indication of. Again, I'm not a big person that's like, all right, we need to break it down into those 4 categories, because when you're taking the exam, you do not know the actual categories of the questions that you're looking at in the situation at hand. So kind of in a synopsis, if you feel like you need a tutor, reach out to one, but do not reach out to one based on the fact that people are telling that you need it, because it has to be your own decision. And again, do not let stubbornness get inside of your way. But if you feel yourself questioning yourself and you're not able to redirect yourself, reach out to assistance outside of a tutor. But if you feel like you need a tutor, do that as well. Ensure that your process of breaking down the questions is an effective manner, and if you do not have a process, develop one as fast as you possibly can, because that's going to lead you to be better off in that situation. Understand your learning style. Make sure the person's looking at your learning style and helping you feel better equipped within your situation, as well as understanding what your score does, and does your perception influence your result? Because if you're looking at the score and you're feeling super defeated and super like beat up, it's going to lead to you have a less quality result in the future. So you have to get yourself excited and motivated in some way, shape, or form. And I always ask people, what's your why? What are you doing what you do? And how can we get you to feel that excited about it and believe and get yourself going in some way, shape, or form? And that would require you to be able to, again, develop a process, develop a schedule that's going to make sense with and for your situation and to be beneficial. And again, if you're interested, I do offer study groups. I do offer individual tutoring. And if you need anything, my email is berda24@gmail.com, and I answer people as fast as I can. And I appreciate all the support that you guys show me. If you've gotten to this far in the video, hit that thumbs up button down below, like it, show me that you're enjoying the stuff. Comment down below any struggles that you're currently having, and subscribe to my channel if you have not. I appreciate everything that you guys do to me. Send me an email again if you need anything, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.